my approach always is one of immense gratitude that I am standing on a stage with the best seat in the house. Like sometimes I just pinch myself and I'm like, how am I standing on this stage right now? This is this is absurd. I remember the first time I stood on stage with Phil, I was just like, my brother's gonna be so jealous, but he's never gonna show it. But I'm gonna always have a one up on my brother, my older brother.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Hang In, Hang Out, presented by Sierra Nevada and Eno. I'm Carter King for the band Future Birds. I'm your host today, unfortunately for you. And my guest this afternoon really needs no introduction, but I'll try my best to give one. She hails from Lafayette, California. She's been ripping the stage since 2006. The list of people she's played with is pretty insanely mind-boggling. Uh, Phil Lesh, Bob Weir, the infamous String Dusters, Marcus King, George Porter Jr., come on, Warren Haynes, Soul Live. It just goes on and goes on and goes on. She's one of the sweetest people in the game, just one of the most sincere, got more soul in her little pinky finger than most people will find in a lifetime. Ladies and gentlemen, your friend of mine, Miss Nicki Bluhm. How is
You're gonna
that?
make me
Is that
tear up. I'm like,
right?
oh my gosh.
I could have gone on,
I
but we only
have
we only
done
have
those
we only
things.
we only have so much time to talk, you know.
No, that's great. That's great. It's cool to like hear, somebody like introduce you and you're just like, "Oh yeah, that's true. That's true." Yeah. It's cool.
I'm glad. I should have made up some falsities, you know, just to just to see if you would have rolled with it or not. Are you having a cold beer? I'm gonna have one with you. Hold on.
I am. Yes.
Cheers. Cheers.
Cheers. Woo woo. Yes.
But you want to talk about To Rise You Gotta Fall? That song's been stuck in my head for the last 2 days. Just been like walking around the house, annoying my roommates singing it. Um, I mean, it's a great tune. Like I can tell it comes from a very very real place. Like some of the best songs, and there's some lines in there that just like they're my jam. You know, like the one of them is what doesn't kill you just makes your story longer. I love that line. It's like a subtle switch on makes you stronger. That's just prolongs it. You know. But yeah, you want to talk about it a little bit?
Sure. I mean, I didn't really know what songs I wanted to do for this because I was like, obviously the inclination is like you want to play stuff that's new. Um, but it's just such a like comfy song. At this point, that song is it's like comfort food for me. Like I've played it so many times and it lives on my last record, which I recorded in Memphis, at Sam Phillips Recording Services with the great Matt Rossbang, who I just love so much as a friend and a producer. And, that record for me was such a big, like, emotional departure. I was going through a lot of really personal changes and transitions in my life, and I did a big geographic move from California to Nashville. And then I was recording with people I had never met before. So it was a lot of firsts and it was really scary. But what I found in taking that sort of leap of faith was that, um, to be courageous and to be brave and to look for new things was actually less scary than staying in something that I knew and wasn't very happy in. And so the song "To Rise You Gotta Fall," it was kind of like the first song that I had written that had glimmers of hope in a pretty dark period of my life. I wrote it in Sausalito. I was staying at my friend's little pied-à-terre looking over the Richardson's Bay, and I was with my cat, Hey Duke, at the time, and it just kind of came out, and it was significant for me because, like I said, it was the first song that I had written in a long time that had any sense of hope to it, you know. And then I figured, people probably need a little bit of hope right now. So even though, it's on my last record and it's been out for a couple years, I was like, this feels significant. It feels like the right song to share right now. Because we all need a little bit of hope. And also, man, life is full of peaks and troughs, and it's like riding it out. We just got to ride them out because they're not going to stop. And also, a plateau would be really boring. So it's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
if you want to, if you got to take the falls if you want to get the rises.
100%. It's like how you can't tell the good days if you don't have the bad days to compare them against,
Yeah.
and but I just like your whole outlook on it, and it's just very true to form to who you are. Like I love that about you. That's awesome. It's just like it's a perspective game, and I think that's why this song like speaks to me in a big way. It's yeah, it's killer. It's a great tune.
Been sitting on the porch this morning, just a strumming and a smoking green, thinking about the highs and lows between now and when I was 18. When you walk into the garden gate, you're bound to get bit by a snake. Yes, you don't know love without a little heartache. How can you know good until you know better? Oh, you're gonna find pain on your way to pleasure. Oh, you can't win no more, and to rise you gotta fall. So I went down to Salinas to find work and to clear my head. Got a job as a hired hand when the harvest time came near. But the dirt went dust and the crops dried out. If you don't get to market, there's no payout. Guess you don't praise the rain until you had a drought. Oh, how can you know good until you know better? If you're looking for love, get ready to get hurt. Oh, but it's the bumpy roads that lead you where you need to go. Ooh, oh, and bring you home. Come on, Carter. So I went looking for some perspective, and I knocked on my mama's door. My heart was filled with sorrow, and I collapsed right there on the floor. She said, girl, you best not cry any longer. Life is cruel and it just gets harder, but what doesn't kill you makes your story longer. She said, how can you know good until you know better? Well, you're gonna find pain on your way to pleasure. Oh, life's a hurricane, but the magic's what remains. Ooh, ain't no rainbow without a little rain. Oh, oh, how can you know good until you know better? Tell me, if I knew what I know now, I'd write me a letter saying you can't win them all, and to rise you gotta fall.
want to hear more about this trip to Colorado that you took, because I had a similar experience during this whole deal, and yeah, I want to hear a little bit more about how that was for the headspace, what you got into. Did you play some shows? Were you able to like connect with humans again in a musical sense?
Yes, and I too have been following your adventures, so I'm very excited to hear about your trip. Mine was, let's see, I was kind of just getting a little antsy, and I ended up buying a van, which is kind of funny and ironic because I'm not touring, and like this is the time I chose to get the van.
What
But
kind
I
of van,
really
real quick?
wanted, I went like so basic. I got a Chevy Express 15 passenger van, two, 2018. I wanted like low mileage, and I wanted it. When I get a car, I really don't care what it looks like. I just want it to turn on and get me where I'm going. Like I want it to
A to
be
B,
reliable. A to B.
100%.
So I got the old standard, crispy. That's what my friend Kevin named it, crispy, because it's like super white and bright and it's very crispy. And I kind of just like outfitted it with a simple platform bed. I pulled out 3 benches, threw in a bed, made my own
Yes.
curtains, hung my curtains, like did the whole
Yes.
thing, made a little like traveling quarantine zone for myself. Cause, I've definitely been like a lot of us, been taking it seriously and wanting to do my part to lessen the spread. So when I went to travel, I was like, all right, I'm gonna do this carefully and smartly, and that justified getting the van. So and then I also had just gotten a puppy, and I was like, man, I want to bring my puppy, I want to bring Birdie with me, and it all just kind of timed out well. I have a really good friend, couple really good friends in Telluride, one of which was traveling in from Santa Barbara to do a photography shoot, and the other had just acquired a horse that she needed help training. And then that kind of lined up with like some shows in Denver. And so it was like that magical thing that the universe does sometimes where it's like, this is what you're supposed to
Mhm.
do. Here you go. Go ahead.
It's laid out for you.
Um,
Here it is on a plate. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So it was like the perfect mix of like adventure and pleasure with a little bit of work. And to me, that's like the perfect kind of trip. So I literally kind of booked it out. I found a really great campground that my friend Kai. Do you know Kai Welch? He's here in
Yeah, I do.
Nashville. Yeah, so
Yeah,
Kai had just done a
we
trip out.
corresponded about canoeing. He's going canoeing with you guys. He needed some intel on the Harpeth.
Oh my gosh, do you canoe?
Yeah, I got a canoe at the beginning of quarantine.
Dude,
Best
me
investment I think I've
too.
ever made. Yeah.
Can we please go? Because you're in Nashville, right?
Yeah, yeah. I'm like a few
Let's
blocks from you
canoe.
probably.
Oh
Let's do it.
my God. Carter,
Absolutely.
yes, we gotta go. Let's go before the winter comes.
Yeah, let's go hit. I would love to go hit the Caney Fork east of town, like an hour. It's beautiful. Did it once early on. It'd be great. It's done. It's a
I
date.
am
It's a plan.
so down. Yes, I love that. So yeah, I stayed out outside of Oklahoma City. There's like a great Red Rock Canyon campground, and I stayed there under the big old Red Rock walls and did a night in Santa Fe with friends. Parked out on this beautiful little creek side behind their house, and then I went up to Telluride and stayed on my friend's ranch and just parked the van and set up camp and didn't leave Hastings Mesa for 10 days. I just rode horses and hung out and read my book and played with my dog and hung with friends and chilled. And it was beautiful. And of course, this time of year, Telluride is beautiful with all the aspens, just gold shimmering leaves. And I mean, it's ridiculous, the beauty of it. And I have just missed the mountains so much and like that landscape. And so a change in landscape felt so good to just drive and to explore and be reminded of like the road and this vast, beautiful, diverse country that we live in, It was like, oh yeah.
Yeah. How are the shows?
The shows were awesome. I have a really good friend, Ross James, who lives now in Denver, and he convinced our friend Scott Law, who lives in Portland, to drive. and meet up for 2 shows. So we did one backyard party, which felt super well organized and safe, um, with some friends, Ross and Scott and Keith Mosley, and it was a really fun experience to be reminded of, like, oh yeah, live shows. Here we are on a stage together and we're playing music, and the crowd was awesome. They were super organized and they had, the circles on the lawn and everybody sat in their little section and it was great. Um, and then we did like a private Zoom where we played together, and honestly, it just felt really good to like play music with my friends who I play music with all the time and know that like it's still there. It's like, oh yeah, this is what we do. This is what we do. We were like surprised. We're like, this sounds awesome. And it's like, yeah, we've put in a lot of time. We just haven't put in a
Yeah.
lot of time recently, but like it's kind of like riding a bike, so that was like encouraging to be like, we still got it.
It's almost like you play better even in that situation, because we had the same experience once we got back together. It was like no note is taken for granted. You're like, oh man, like you're not like, whereas when you're like playing shows every day, every day, every day, you can kind of like lose it on stage or whatever, and you're not there in it. And then once you finally get back, you're like, oh, just soaking in every second of it. So it's
Yeah,
like, damn, I'm
totally.
playing better like than I normally would, I think, because I'm just in it like 100%.
1, 2, 3, 4. I'd rather be in some dark hollow where the sun don't ever shine than to be home alone, knowing that you're gone would cause me to lose my mind. So blow your whistle, freight train, take me far on down the track. Well, I'm going away, I'm leaving today. I'm going, but I ain't coming back. I'd rather be in some dark hollow where the sun don't ever shine than to be in some big city in a small room with you on my mind. So blow your whistle, freight train, take me far on down the tracks. Well, I'm going away, I'm leaving today. I'm going, but I ain't coming back. Yes, I'm going away, I'm leaving today. I'm going, but I ain't coming back. Yes, I'm going, but I ain't coming back. Yes, I'm going, but I ain't coming back. Yes, I'm going, but I ain't coming back. All right.
I was actually thinking about Carter. I was like, when is the last time I saw Carter? Was it really that long ago on Jerry's birthday that we saw each other at the
In
Basement
person,
East?
yeah. So I think
That is
so.
so crazy. Time is just,
I don't know. I don't know what to make of time these days. Like some things seem like they're yesterday. Yesterday seems like it was years ago. Like it's a little trippy, to be quite honest.
yesterday seems like it was years ago. That's kind of cool, actually. I like that.
Let's put it in
Yesterday
a
seems
song.
like it was years ago. Yeah, let's write a song. Yeah, we'll do that.
Do live on Zoom.
Well, I will
uh,
say I was very glad you were there that night at the Basement East for Jerry's birthday. It was um it was nice to see a friendly face.
oh yeah, yeah. Dude, that
Yeah.
night is always like the most fun. You know, it's always like a lot of work setting that up, you know, and getting everyone together. And it's a lot of schedules coordinate. And it's like kind of can like, if you let it, it can be this like sort of anxiety inducing thing. But then night of, like when everything comes together and there are all these super talented people all just there because they love Jerry and love the Grateful Dead. And like the room's packed with people for the same reason. And it's just, yeah, it's always magical, you know?
Totally. Well, and it was really cool for me because moving from San Francisco and, having spent so much time in that world and in that catalog of songs, I didn't really know how much it lived here in Nashville. And it felt so comfy to go that night to the Basement East and to like see that, oh my God, there's Deadheads here. And like people like this music here. And this is like a thing here. And this is so cool. And then of course, like I love those songs and I will always love that band and it's such a like part of my fabric of who I am and growing up and all of that. I think the essence of music is just like being there at the moment in time. Like you said, I think that performing so little and then getting to do it, I'm able to be more in the moment of it rather than like my body's doing this thing and I'm singing this stuff, but I'm thinking about other things. When that starts to happen, that disconnect, that's when you're really kind of like losing the essence of what you're meant to be doing, which is channeling real emotion and singing the feelings of the words that are coming out.
You can't expect people to be there with you if you're not there with them. So if you want people to feel that from you, it's like you have to be there yourself. It's like totally a two-way street, you know? But
Yes.
that makes me want to ask you because I went on this just YouTube Nicki Bluhm deep dive earlier today, and it's just like insane, like the videos and all the people you're playing with. But at Lockn, was it when you're playing, standing between Phil and Bob for like the whole Terrapin suite, and then you rip Sunrise, like it's so good.
Mm.
And like I want to know what that was like from your perspective because you're like cool as ice on stage. Like you've done it 1,000 times, and I was like, I wouldn't be able to like stand up. Like I don't know how to be a human anymore. I'm sorry, I can't do this.
Well, that was really fun. That was like one of my favorite experiences actually. And I'll preface it by saying there was no rehearsals. I had no rehearsals. I mean, I'd played with Phil and I, played with, a lot of those guys on stage. But like I'd never done that run through of the record. And like I remember it started with Government Mule. Lockn has like the rotating stage. So like one band is
Yeah,
set up and
yeah.
they're playing to the crowd. So Government Mule's on stage at Lockn with Ann Wilson and she's just belting and it's their last song. And the stage like starts to turn, because at Lockn it has a rotating stage and the stage starts to turn. And Bob is just sitting there on his guitar and he goes, "Will somebody tell me when to start?" And Graham goes, "Start." And then it's just like the first
This,
song, of the record. And it's just like revealed onto like the Lockn crowd of, I don't know, 15,000 people or whatever. And it was like the coolest moment ever because it's just, yeah, it was very cool. I don't know. I've spent so much time in like the jam band world and being a singer. I'm pretty comfortable just like standing there with not much to do. But my approach always is one of immense gratitude that I am standing on a stage with the best seat in the house. Like sometimes I just pinch myself and I'm like, how am I standing on this stage right now? This is absurd. I remember the first time I stood on stage with Phil, I was just like, my brother's gonna be so jealous, but he's never gonna show it. But I'm gonna always have a one up on my brother, my older brother.
For one last ride, far out in some countryside. 'Cause there's only so long you can try and fly by night. Now the tale's got me thinking on making a scene of life. Why you gonna hedge your bets on a transcontinental space cadet? I know. Yeah, but Rudy, I ain't your boy. Trying to remember how to be alone. Some flights you can only take on your own. You sure as hell won't ever love nobody if there ain't nobody home. Trying hard just to keep the light. Trust the day's coming when you get it right. You do what you can, you keep it all in check. Now you're working like the floor of a Memphis discotheque. When the lights come on and Rayford spun your final song, would you know? Yeah, what you gonna have to show? Trying to remember how to be alone. Some flights you can only take on your own. You sure as hell won't ever love nobody if there ain't nobody home.
Well, so Sienna Life came out somewhat recently, right?
So we've been it's not really actually even released, although the song's been around for a few years. But we've been, like, one of the quarantine things we've been doing is kind of taking advantage of the Bandcamp Fridays that they've been doing, which is like it's a super cool deal. Yeah, Bandcamp, like the first Friday of every month, they're just waiving all their revenue percentages that they would take. And yeah, and so it's just a cool way. It's not like they take like 60% of revenue or anything. It's not like it's a huge percentage
They're
in the first
human.
place. But yeah, but it's like it's just this cool platform, and it's kind of become this thing that people are paying attention to. And so anyway, yeah, we've been releasing stuff. Like, we have pretty much like an album of B-sides and demos that the band released that we've been putting up, and it's kind of fun to just put something up for 24 hours, and like the true fans, like the real heads, are like get stoked about it, and like, they'll buy it, and then it kind of disappears, and everyone's like, like super nice comments, and it speaks to some people, but it's just this like little micro focused release, to just like the people who really care about what you're doing. But yeah, so I put up this song Sienna Life that I have. And when you're talking about getting the Chevy Express, it reminded me of this because the song was about my dreams of getting a Toyota Sienna minivan and like just hitting the road and just being on the road all the time. And it was like definitely came from that spot when it was like, being on the move is like equals productivity. It equals like me doing what I'm supposed to be doing, like what I'm here to do. And also with like the intention thing we were talking about, like, yeah, like I just like picturing myself cruising down, you know, a beautiful country road, 73 degrees, windows are down in my minivan. Just like, this is the song that's like the theme song for that, and, but yeah, it's like, but it is like kind of like with Taraz, you got to fall. It's I was going through some definite personal changes, and it's like, the core of the song is kind of like you gotta get right with you. Like you gotta be cool with being alone and living in your own body before you can be cool with your outward relationships and stuff. And that's kind of like the
Yeah.
crux of the song. But yeah, and
And
then
also the
so I
crux of
read,
adulting.
yeah, right. You're
You know what I
you're
mean? Like when
100%
you
right.
figure that
Yeah.
out, you're like, oh, it's
Okay.
like when you really absorb that idea, I feel like you're an adult.
Yeah, when it like when it truly hits, and
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people probably don't. A lot of people like you can hear it and it makes sense. Like I feel like I heard that for a long time, but it wasn't until I like truly soaked it in and to where it does kind of click, and it's like self love to outward love kind of deal. It's like you're never going to be happy putting all of that, your own self-worth, your own happiness in outward things or people or the whole deal. So yeah, it's kind of like the base of the song. And at the time I was trying to like figure out finger picking a little bit more and was listening to like a lot of John Fahey and stuff. And so at first I was trying to learn a John Fahey song and that wasn't going so hot, but kind of morphed into this other thing. And I was like, now it's my song.
Yes, I love that. Well, I love, love, love the line in the song. Sure as hell won't ever love nobody if there ain't nobody home. Like when I heard that, I was just like, oh, ow. And
Yeah.
yes, yes. That's just like, I mean, it's crushing, but it's so true. And also it's like accepting, I don't know if I'm interpreting this the way that you've meant listeners to interpret it, but for me, I'm sort of interpreting it as like you can't draw blood from a stone. Like when you finally come to a realization you've been in a relationship and you're wanting this person to react in this way or to have this kind of response or apology or whatever, and you just realize like they're just not capable of that. Like you cannot draw blood from a stone. Like you can't love somebody that's never home. Like I love that
Yeah,
that like intentionality of, this is a two-way street.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It's a two-way street that goes both ways. It's like you can't be loved. You can't, love someone like if you're not just there in your body, present in the thing. Um,
Yeah.
and quite literally, never home, which I know you and I both
Right.
find ourselves a lot of the time. Uh, yeah,
Songs. I mean, the layers of meaning. I love it. That's why I love
I,
songwriting. It's been
I
so
know.
fun to just like keep trying forever for the rest of my life.
Yeah. Yeah. I appreciate that perspective on it. It's like this, like always chasing it. Like just like
Always.
accept the process and appreciate the process. Cause sometimes it's just clicking and it flows. And sometimes you're ripping your hair out, just like, I know what I want to say and I have to make it work. And it sounds so stupid right now, but you're
Yeah.
like fitting
Yeah. But
yeah.
then it's so fun when you distill it and you're just like, oh my God, I just shrunk 100 words into like five. what? That to me is like, that's like the best, the distillation of words and sentiment. And the people who do it really well are like freaking wizards. And man, it's a lifetime of experience and vulnerability and practice.
I think like if your headspace, if you're all right with just, you got to write through some bad stuff to get to the good stuff. It's like you ain't gonna
Yeah.
use everything. But 52 songs in a year, that's impressive. That's very
Well,
impressive.
I can't say that I actually did that. I want to say I'd have to go back and like really count. I probably got close. I probably did.
Let's just say you
Some were
did it.
probably just
Let's just say you did
beginnings.
it.
Okay, I did it. I did
You did it.
it.
Congrats. Woo!
Woo! Let's cheers. Let's cheers to that.
Yeah. Hey, this has been so fun talking, and I missed the screen. There you go.
Oh, wait, do you want me to go get Birdie?
Yes, go get Birdie. Let's see Birdie. We've been
Okay.
talking about Birdie. Yeah, we need a Birdie appearance. Perfect. Guys, I also want to mention we're raising money for the Sweet Relief Musicians Fund. This is a huge thing. It's been helping a lot of people. You can text hang in, hang out to donate, or you can go to sweetrelief.org. It's been a real lifesaver for a lot of people in the music industry, and I know they all appreciate it right now. Look at Birdie. How can you look Birdie in the face and not want to donate? Thank you so much to my guest, Nicki Bluhm, for talking with me. This has been a blast. Thanks to Sierra Nevada and Eno for putting this on. And y'all donate to Sweet Relief Musicians Fund. And you'll feel so good about your day for doing so. Thanks for everyone for tuning in. And we'll catch y'all next time. You can get a bandmate on the internet, on Amazon. Got Norma delivered to Jackson, Wyoming, and it's good to have a bandmate.
It's genius.